Hello everyone, it's the Psalmist here. Welcome to today's episode of Don't Get Stuck Up in Christianity. So, on today's episode, I just want to speak about giving, when a Christian gives money, especially. As we know, the Bible does teach that we must give, but when we must give the amount of money that, we are comfortable with, and the amount of money that we don't have any pain or we don't have any bitterness in terms of, giving the money. So we must decide how much we're going to give, and we must be happy with the amount of money that we're going to give to the church. We shouldn't be people who give begrudgingly. But what I really want to talk to you about is that when a man, leaves his home and then he has decided that he's going to give X amount of money to the church today, and he's happy about it, he doesn't have any grudge about it. But on his way to church, he meets a homeless person. A homeless person comes to him and say that, my brother, I'm hungry. I don't have food. I don't have this and that. May you please give me some food, or may you please give me some money? And then a religious person, you know, will think that no, I can't give money to this homeless person. This money was meant for the church. If I don't give, if I give the money to this homeless person, that means that now I might end up not giving money to the church. So that's what a religious person will think. But a true Christian who is full of the Spirit of God, who has discernment, will realize that, you know what, this money was supposed to go to the church. It was supposed to help in the, you know, activities of the church, and some of the stuff that the church does may be helping the homeless or the poor. So if I give the money to this poor, I'm not really doing anything wrong because I'm still doing good. I'm still showing that I'm a child of God. I'm a giving man, and I'm proving myself to be a Christian. You see, because it happens so many times. It happens so many times that people will pass a beggar in the streets, begging for food, begging for money, or whatever that they can give, but because they think that the money belongs to the church or the money was supposed to go to the church, they don't give the money. And in the case of, mega churches, where you find that the pastor is rich because of the very offerings that the congregations are giving to the man. So you find a person who goes to a church which is already rich. The, the church doesn't really need his money. The church already has its own money. And then the pastor is already also rich. The pastor is an author, is making millions and millions. But this person, he doesn't believe that by giving money to the poor person, is a good thing, because what happens is that, there's this I don't know what I can call it, a misconception or a false belief that, if you want to get money, you must give your pastor money and God will give you money. Because that's what the pastors will tell you. Of course, you sow a seed, but that seed goes to him. And then, God will give you money. And if God does not, if you give the money to the pastor and then the money doesn't come to you for a certain period of time, and you ask the pastor and say, but I sowed a seed 2 months or 3 months ago, nothing happened, and the pastor accuses you of maybe, having some kind of secret sin that is preventing God from giving you the money. Of course, which is false. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we have to have discernment. We have to think about what I'm doing in terms of taking the money that I'm supposed to give to a church and give to a homeless person. Does it take away the purpose of the money? Is it like just throwing the money away instead of giving it to a church? You see, we have to prove ourselves to be the children of God. When Jesus Christ says that you shouldn't just forgive those of your household or your friends or you know, in your company or whoever, but you should forgive even your enemies. So if you think that maybe a homeless person is not a Christian, maybe they don't belong in the kingdom of God, then when you look at Jesus says you must forgive people who are your enemies. So that means that even when it comes to giving, you must give to anyone who is in need. You see, don't get caught up in the religion of saying no, I give to the church, and because some churches actually have like a register where they write that this day you gave this day you gave this, and probably might even ask you and say, hey brother, last week or last month you didn't give, what happened? So you see, that shouldn't happen in a church, because in the church you're supposed to give voluntarily. There shouldn't even be a register of how much you've given. There shouldn't be a register of how much you're giving. when they're doing that, they're doing it wrong. That's not what's supposed to happen. Because if it's a matter of registering, that means I'll make sure that I have to give every time I go to church. And if I don't have money, that means I don't even go to church. You see? So giving to the poor is also doing good, the same as giving to the church. Especially in the modern day churches, when you see that the churches are filthy rich, the pastors are driving cars that business people cannot, you know, they cannot drive. Pastors, I mean, some churches rake in so much money that business people can only envy. And in most cases, churches don't even have expenses because if the money this comes in, they don't even get taxed. Business people have to buy goods or pay employees so that they could raise money, and then from there try to find out how much profit they've made. But in terms of the church, there's no stock, there's no expense, and there's no tax. So you see, but even when people go to those kind of churches, they will pass poor people, they will pass charities which are in need of this money, and they will give them the money to the rich pastor. That is not being Christ-like. That is being a religious Christian who just want to do exactly what the church says you must do, but you're not looking at what the word is saying. What the word is saying, that give to the poor. Yes, the word also say you must give to the church, but you have to have discernment and say, I mean, I have the money, the church is already rich. Why should I give money where it's no longer needed? Because no one is ever going to say, no, I have enough, I don't want money. The pastor's not going to say that, no matter how much money you give. But you have to have discernment and say that that person needs the money more than the church does. And in fact, if you truly are Christ-like, you should even think about this person is poor. So how can I contribute in such a way that it becomes a regular contribution towards him? Because what do you do when you do that? When you make a regular contribution to a poor person, you're making that person understand that you have love. You're making that person start to have faith that there are still good people in this world. And then that's how you can win that person and say that since you're a child of God, you are a child, you're a Christian, then the poor person can start to think that God is good. Look at what he has done. He has sent someone like you to help them. And then you can even go further and bring the person into the church so that you don't just save the person temporarily in terms of making them be able to buy stuff that they need to eat or clothing or giving them somewhere where they could sleep, but you're saving them eternally. So what we need is a church filled with people who are who have discernment, who can discern what is required at a certain time. Not just think about, I'm a Christian, I go to church on Sundays, I pay my tithe, I go. If I go to church on Sunday and I pay my tithe, I'm done, I've done well. No. What we should be thinking about is that what will Christ do in this kind of moment? What will Christ do? Will Christ take the money to the temple while somebody's begging for food in the streets? I mean, look at what Christ did. He always did something that would make the Pharisee feel like this man is not religious because he's not following the religion, the, the laws of the religion of Judaism, that you must not heal anyone on the Sabbath. But if a person needs help on the Sabbath and you're able to do it, so you did good. So you didn't do anything bad. So we cannot keep passing homeless people begging for food while we claim to be children of God, so we can take money and give to our pastors who are already rich, or even in churches where they're already rich. They are not, even in churches which are not rich already. But for that day, if you can just give the poor person, what does I don't remember exactly whether it's Paul or, but the Bible does say that there are people who unwittingly, didn't know that they were speaking to angels. So that's why you must always entertain strangers. What if God or Christ come to you in the form of a poor man, but you, because you're worried more about Christianity or Christianity or religion, you don't want to help. You just want to make sure that you have ticked every box, every I. You have made sure that you have done, because it's a religion. You have to make sure that things are done exactly like that. Our Christianity should be life. We should be able to know what to do and when to do it, and how to do it at any given moment. This is what separates Christianity from other religions, in which you do this at this time. If you don't do it at this time, you're not, really a religious person in their religion. But us, we have the Spirit of God, and the Spirit of God should be daily in our hearts, all the time in our hearts, so that we can have discernment to do what Christ would have done. So, thank you for listening.